get started then. For check-in, let's just do the normal plus what's your favorite way to procrastinate during finals?
Good.
I can start. Alright. My name is Jordan. I use Ethan and his. What I do this week, I was center related. I talked to some people before the McKenna, and went off and talked to Ross Peacock and Dean of Finances and Admissions.
And Deborah Tremontes.
Yeah.
Admissions and Financial Aid, he's institutional research. Ross Peacock.
Yeah. That's why I just can't remember the dean's name.
Yeah, no, it's just for the record.
My favorite way to procrastinate during finals is to read random Wikipedia articles about things I already know things about, because that's comfortable.
Hey everyone, I'm Nolan. I prefer he, him, his, and let's see, Senate-related stuff this week. Not too much done in any official capacity, but did attend the convocation and the Black Rage showcase. But in terms of procrastination, I love to procrastinate by reading the books. I tell myself I'm going to reward myself with reading after I finish all my finals, so I start early reading them, and it helps me get in the mood. But that's about it.
Like a little like John Milton.
That's right, exactly. This is actually for school, thank God. All right.
So hi, my name is Megan. I prefer she, her, hers. I'm a fourth year senator. First year senator, fourth year student. And my favorite thing to do as procrastination for finals is probably cook some really delicious food with the homies. Sip on some vino. And what did I do this week? This week, oh my goodness, I did a lot of shit. Well, I guess the convocation was probably the highlight of the things that I attended for me. And I spoke, which was really awesome. I shared this piece that I wrote while on the Border Studies program, and it's like a really nerve-wracking piece to share publicly every time for me. And I actually felt like so much like warm vibes and like love and energy from that crowd that it wasn't even nerve-wracking for me this time. So thrilled about that.
I'm Nick, he, him, his, third year senator. So this week, I basically just attended all of these events that have been going on. I attended the convocation, which was awesome. Attended Black Rage, which was also awesome. Let me think. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much about it. And my favorite thing to procrastinate on during finals is set self-control. You get a self-control app where you can put a bunch of web pages that you want to block on, and you click it and you like type in your password, and then it's just like you turn off the computer and it's still blocked. So I like figuring out ways I can get around all the websites and still have fun. So a lot of it ends up being Wikipedia and just like Googling random stuff. So yeah, check it.
What did I do this week? I did office hours and I got...
What's your name?
Oh, right. My name is Corey. I'm a first year senator. Right. I did office hours and I got acquainted with operations manager stuff, which probably won't matter too much since we've only got a week. And then when we next meet, we decide positions again, but good practice to know what's up with that position. And I guess to procrastinate, sleeping's really good procrastination.
Did that today. I am Ty, he, him, his. My favorite way to procrastinate during reading period is to hang out with friends, because nobody has anything to do except for study, and nobody wants to study. And this week, I also attended the convocation. That was like incredibly important and incredibly powerful, I felt. I had lots of discussions with students about the petition. I went to SFC policy meeting. We passed the review budget that you guys made. So that is resolved completely, well done. I also did the stipend forum, which was a space to talk about how stipends should work in the future. We like explained the way stipends work to like a decent number of students. Not as many as like I would have liked, but that's okay. Yeah, now I'm done with SFC, so that's pretty cool too.
Cool. I'm Ben, he, him, his. I'm a third year. Let's see, my favorite way to procrastinate on finals would probably be to watch like documentaries about literally anything. But yeah.
Best recent documentary?
Oh, definitely a series on islands. It's like a nature documentary. It's great.
Is it on Netflix?
Yeah, dude. The episode about Zanzibar is spot on.
I'm in.
I'm Albert. I'm for he, him, and his. It's been seemingly a while since we last met, and did we do the honor committee interview between now and then?
We did
That
conservatory
already
council
passed
meeting too.
Last Saturday.
Oh, well, then I spend my time forgetting what I've actually done. So, well, I had my office hour this past week, and did we not? Oh, I guess no other week. And I like to spend my time progressing by perfecting my impersonation of Adam West watching Family Guy.
I'm walking through I see him and his. This past week I went to the convocation. I have a series of meetings about the steering committee. So we might be getting something out of that soon. And at my last office hour of the semester, no one came, so I thought it was indicative of the rest of the semester. Now I'm here, so excited to get started. Does anyone have anything they want to add?
One more. Sorry,
Oh, you just walked in.
I walked in right in the nick of time, too late. My name is Nick Olson. I use he, him, and his. I discussed with the OST about reaffirming pay and did the whole confirmation, checked all the T numbers. 33 were bad, and that was within our margin of error, so A.
So we're good.
So we're good.
Woo! Round of applause.
Then, let me see, I also met with a couple people during office hours about the petition, and I've been discussing that with literally everyone I talk to, pretty much. The petition and all of the other action on campus. I've been doing a lot of that, which I know is tangentially related to Senate and not directly, but somewhat. What did I do to procrastinate? I did a lot of those conversations. And then I've also tried to get to the gym. Also last night, a group of friends and I went to midnight sushi happy hour at a place near Cleveland. And that was such a good self-care kind of moment. So, yeah.
Sushi happy hour.
Sounds fantastic. Yes.
So who wants to add things to the agenda?
There's no one from Conservatory Council of Students here, is there? Nope, okay. Should still go on the agenda.
That's what I did this
Yeah,
week.
right, we went to that. That should go under discussions. Yeah.
Oh, and the transparency.
Oh yeah. I wanted to do that during working group reports.
Albert, you went to the transparency working group?
I
He
did.
did.
That's awesome.
It was just me, Albert, and Jordan.
Anything
I'll
else?
send out a blast email if everyone's.
Zoe, do you want to?
Yeah, sure.
I came to
Your
that.
friend?
No, I can't think.
Yes. Okay, in that case, so I mean, does anyone have anything in the other categories to fill in? Otherwise, we can just move directly to the transparency work.
I think putting general faculty and announcements is, even though we're going to talk later, just put it in announcements.
Yeah, anything else? I guess we have general faculty Wednesday at noon and came through at 6. I don't know what else you want to say about that, but
It's the announcement.
We can talk about
We all have to be there.
yeah.
we're voting on the tobacco ban, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
We all get a vote, guys.
Yep. Totally fun.
That's one way to put it.
So, working group transparency?
Transparency.
Okay, yeah. So I guess because the discussion with Deborah Tremonti and Rosh Peacock is another discussion. So I guess we could talk about it now.
We can talk about that.
So transparency working group. We didn't do much in the working group, but a lot happened outside of the working group, and I'll leave it to Nick to discuss it.
Well, we met like, so I was contacted by, I guess probably Deborah Tremonti's secretary, Kathy Drennan is her name, asked me to set up a meeting with Deborah Tremonti and with Ross Peacock. Deborah Tremonti is, I want to say, Dean of
Financial aid.
Yeah. And then Ross Peacock works in institutional research. I want to say he's VP or assistant.
VP.
Yeah, VP. So they set up a meeting with me and with Maddie Stalker, who wrote an article in the review that you guys should all read. And so we met with Ben, with Jordan, Megan was there, Maddie was there, Ty was there. Was that it? So we all met together like an hour before the meeting, and we basically drafted, we had a big Google Doc, a bunch of questions that we were going to ask. And we didn't really get to a whole lot of the questions because it was actually for a good reason, because we went in there and Ross Peacock sort of immediately was like, here's a 10-page packet that will hopefully explain some of this confusing demographic stuff to you. And I was like, cool, wow, thank you, that's really nice. And we chatted a lot. Basically, I guess the most relevant thing that I can talk to when it comes to demographics is the government changed their policy for how they report demographics very, very recently, 2010. So that has affected our numbers. And it's actually, so right now what we're doing in our institutional research is we're continuing the way that we did it prior to 2010, and we're also doing it in a new way, so you can see the two like alongside each other. But what's happened is there's been, I think for example, 2009, the percentage of black students was something around 6.8. With the new one, it jumped down to like right around 5.5, 5.2, something like that, which is a significant jump, more significant than any jumps beforehand. But with the old data, it actually jumped up to 8.8 in 2010 or something like that. So there's a huge discrepancy in both directions, and unfortunately, that's going to be a very confusing thing to have to like go through. But what it really should all prove to us is that like these are like not very easy to quantify like categories. The categories are changing a lot, and it's sort of we're at the whim of the way the government decides they want to define them. So there's a lot of meaningful stuff you can draw from it, but it can also mislead you, and you have to have a really good understanding of how they work, which is what I'm going to try to do basically. So I'm going to set up a meeting to meet with Ross Peacock again, because I think that I'm definitely much better with the demographic side of things. When it comes to admissions and financial aid, I don't think we asked very direct questions, because like Maddie and I are not very good at that stuff, whereas Ben and Jordan have committed a lot of time. They have a lot of really good questions. So I think moving forward, you two should, and Ty as well if he wants, should meet with Deborah Tremonti, and I can continue meeting with Ross Peacock. I think that's a better division of our time and efforts. Is that cool with you guys, just sort of generally?
That's cool.
Yeah.
She's a stone cold fox.
She's a very hardened politician. She did not provide us with a whole lot of concrete information, and I feel comfortable saying it. I mean, she was helpful. I also don't think I asked the right questions, and I don't think I came equipped to ask the right questions, but I think you guys would have a lot better of an opportunity.
I think we should pressure her to make a presentation like the one Mike Franzen made.
I think I agree with
Maybe
Jordan.
we should schedule an appointment now for next semester.
For first or second week of February.
And you guys should take point on that with as far as Deborah Tremonti is concerned. Ross Peacock I've already asked him if he's open to doing some sort of a forum. And he's like, I don't know exactly what that would look like, but let's talk. So, I mean, he's very willing to talk, which is cool.
I think
Deborah Tremonti is what we're talking.
Can we have outside business for like a hot second?
So I know it's probably really long, but what information is not in that packet that you think would be helpful to have in this one?
So, honestly, I have looked through this packet, but I've been as busy as the rest of us have been. So I'm counting on winter term to really be able to delve into this stuff. And I have a Google Doc that I will invite all of you guys to, and we can make this a collaborative process. And just like, I'll send out regular emails, be like, check on this, answer questions, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I mean, there's like merit aid info that I think we're like interested in. We're interested in like the breakdown of like, how many students fall into each financial aid category. We're interested in
Just the way they go about deciding what
Yeah.
sends admissions officers. A lot of insight.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, we just really want to get down to the bottom line of why are there so few black students on this campus? Like, just why? Like, what are the factors that are causing this, and how can we work together to try and change it?
Part of what goes into that is confusing ways that demographics are represented, but also even more confusing ways that retention rates are represented, because they have 4-year retention rates, 6-year and 8-year retention rates. They kind of all get factored together. I'm still not clear on how this process works, but I'm going to try to get there, because that's relevant information, especially if we can track a history. Like, I remember, for example, back in like the early 90s, our retention rates for black students was like 60%. It was abysmal. It was really, really, really bad. And something happened where it's improved in the past 20 years. I'm also interested to see what they did that improved that. Like, and we can create like a report. Yeah, and we can say like what worked back then and what might work now, and what might not work now. But let's get it all out there so we can talk about it.
And then the other part of, sorry, go ahead.
Do you only have a physical copy of the packet?
All basically, besides the cover sheet that he gave me, all of the stuff that's in the packet is on the website.
On your website? Okay, cool.
So all of the like data.
Were you planning on like summarizing the most important parts and putting it?
I recorded the conversation. I'm gonna listen back through it and like type out a detailed report. But again, like that's winter term for me. Like,
it's cool.
Yeah.
I just want to say I think the other part of this is like, we've done some work already, like Ben especially, on comparing our numbers with peer institutions with like similar endowment per student, stuff like that. Like figuring out like, why does Davidson do so well in this category compared to us? What's different about that school? Why is Carleton's retention rate for African American students so high? Like, what are they doing well? I think stuff like that.
I think it's Greek life, personally.
What?
I think these schools with Greek life allow like POCs to just like negate the fact that they're POCs, or have it be tokenized, and therefore they can thrive there as the token black friend or as someone who never confronts their race in a serious way.
Does Carleton have
Carleton meets all demonstrated financial needs.
And like what, the 3 kids of color at Carleton, they just like take care of each other.
Davidson's also geographically. It's,
Right. Where?
Is it in North or
It's in
South?
It's in Charleston.
Yeah.
That sounds good. Thank you for doing that, and I guess we'll look back at it next semester.
I'm gonna keep preparing some more concrete stuff so we can look at it.
We'll schedule an appointment.
Yeah, and if you, I'm glad. I'm gonna probably email Kathy, who I've been in touch with, and ask to schedule a meeting with me, and probably with Maddie, with Ross and you guys and Ty as well. I don't know how you want to be involved in this, but however you want.
Sure.
Jack of all trades. Sorry, just kidding. I said jack of all trades. It was a joke.
Okay. Well, if you guys, if we're done with that, then
That's business.
Yeah, I just sent an email to y'all. EXCO wants to send an email to the student body in response to recent events. We put it on Facebook as well, so if you just put it on Facebook, it's there. But we sent it to the student list, but we're pretty sure we don't have technical access to the student list, so we can't send it out. I figured y'all are in this room already, so it'd be super chill if you voted on it while you were here, so it could go out quickly, because I know how long that takes. So yeah, that's basically it. It's just like our response to both how we've been grading and just a general support. We've been doing other things that we aren't sending out with that, but yeah, just please send an email to the student body for us. That's our business. So y'all have it.
Could someone just read it out loud and then read it?
I can pull it up again.
I have it right here.
Do you want?
you want to read on my computer?
Yeah.
The 5 students of the EXCO committee have been individually processing the recent events in Ferguson, New York, Cleveland, and the continual violence and oppression perpetrated against black and brown bodies. We have come together as an organization of students and also a department within the institution of Oberlin College to stand in solidarity. Yes, y'all. We would like to extend our direct support to any and all students who teach or learn through us. We recognize the cries for justice, the continual traumas, and the systems of violence that threaten. We recognize the petition, the Black Rage Showcase, the student-led convocation, the activism during the Board of Trustees meeting, and the continual work of student activists. The assignments for instructors and students have been submitted. In our effort to support students, we have softened our deadlines and are actively working with instructors to ensure that as many people who can pass do pass. We apologize that this statement has come after the fact. We could have been proactive in our efforts, reaching out to instructors and students to see how they needed to be supported. We need to do better and will do better. While our office hours for the semester have ended, we welcome suggestions as to how we, as a committee and members of the community, can continue to support anti-racist and anti-oppression work. We're available next semester and can be contacted through email. As a department of Oberlin College and as your peers, we stand behind you. In solidarity, the EXCO committee.
Should we vote?
Something after that threatened.
I mean, like,
No,
Maybe.
no, it's good.
it's poetic.
Yeah, I like
It's
it.
prose.
Do you want to vote on it now?
Yeah,
Yes.
just do it.
Oh my god. I don't know. My friend Soren just
Which Soren?
Soren from Donna.
Food.
No.
Are we gonna?
That's amazing.
I was
Yeah,
on my
okay.
way to go work out and then had to.
No one else thoughts on this?
I think it was really well done,
go for
and I appreciate it.
But
Yeah, thank you for doing this, sir.
Now I
I
look
think it's a
ridiculous.
strong signal.
This wasn't just me.
I think it's a model for the rest of Oberlin's departments about how to communicate with their students.
And I think especially saying like, as a committee and as members of the community, like we are an institution at Oberlin, but we're also made of students. Like I think that's very valuable.
As a shout out to the athletics department, we did look at their language, and that really, like, this was something we meet on Sundays. So this was something we had talked about before that and hadn't really been able to make cohesive. But the athletics department language, like, definitely gave us something to work off of. So shout out to them for doing it as well.
That's good.
I guess proposal, please.
Yeah, proposal to vote on this to send it out.
Okay. All in favor of sending this out, say aye.
Aye.
All against? All abstaining? Great, send it right.
Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, Sarah.
Do we have more on this point, or do you want to move on?
I think we're good.
I think we're good. Yeah, we're gonna just schedule this.
I have a question for
Yeah.
you. The email thing that we're a part of, where would that go on here?
What do you want to talk about?
I mean, we have to vote on it, no?
Yeah, I mean, if you propose it, or I responded to your email.
I,
Judy?
no. Yes, maybe.
Yes.
It probably just got swallowed in
Oh,
my
yeah.
email.
Yeah, no, I asked it. Like, if you wanted to do it, you could propose it. I don't know what you wanted to do.
Yeah, I'd love to. I don't know where that goes.
Yeah.
Decisions.
It's also, this is like something that you want to send out to the whole student body, you should email to all of us.
Okay, how do I do that from my phone?
Just
Can I
forward-
email it to you? Forward it to
Yeah, you can email it to me and I can forward it to everybody.
Forwarding to Nicholas. Okay. Hi, Nicholas.
Also, Justin is on his way. I made a mistake and told him we didn't have plenary today.
He's been
so-
ghost. I haven't seen him in like weeks.
I saw him once
Who?
the other day.
Justin?
Yeah.
It's okay, Anjali. I didn't remember we had plenary until 10 minutes before when my phone told me we did.
It's okay.
Okay, I forwarded it to you.
What about everyone
Where is
else?
it?
Okay.
I don't know.
Zach,
I'm gonna.
Corey, did anyone?
Did
No
the
one
Zach-
has, I sent out an email telling everyone to come here.
Is it
but-
gonna put Zach Crowell at the center mark?
Probably will.
How many points
He
for
doesn't
not
show
showing
up at
up?
all.
What?
How many points
10?
for not showing up at all?
Not 10, yeah.
Ten? Yeah, that's it.
I don't
No,
think
that might even put him over the mark.
He's at 21.
Is-
10 points for
Although I cannot currently edit
Someone wanna
points.
call him?
How many does he
So if he
have?
doesn't show
21
up
at the
tonight,
moment.
he's
If he has 10, that puts him.
Someone wanna call him a message?
Yeah, that kicks him
31,
off.
yeah.
That kicks him off.
No, stop.
That's that's real. Somebody should call him. Does anyone have his number?
He's
Yeah.
coming.
No, that was
he said
Justin.
Justin was
What are
coming.
you talking about?
Zach.
check out Zach Crowell.
I'll see if I can get a hold of
All right, I just forwarded this email to all of you.
So Corey,
Yeah.
just a request because it was my fault that Justin isn't here. I will take his points.
Why is
It's
it hard?
okay, we can
Oh,
not
it's
do
like
it next
a
week.
compare.
Or we could do that.
Sorry,
But-
I'm gonna step in
That's
and be
your call.
whatever, this, what is it, operations manager?
Yeah.
And altruism is
Cooperation
lovely, but-
manager.
Yeah, more just like a,
Thank you.
make sure that we don't police each other a lot.
Is this?
So I sent, so this email that you should have just
The top part of it is a clusterfuck because it's been forwarded from a bunch of people, so just go down to thoughts.
Just go to thoughts for
Okay.
me, yeah.
Okay.
Is this?
I can also read it aloud, if that's more of a thing.
Where are you? Okay, are you on your way to Plenary or?
Huh.
Very
Or
diplomatic.
not.
Oh, you already, okay. So you've won some.
Also, for those of you who are friends with me on Facebook, this was my most recent Facebook status, but with like slightly different wording. And by that, I just mean I changed pronouns from like I to we.
Have you edited it at all based on Chris' email today?
No, I have not.
I've not yet seen Chris.
It
I
didn't-
saw-
you
I
should read it.
glanced.
It's like it kind of didn't say much more than his previous
It
email.
extended the past and past
Yeah.
deadline.
He did
They extended
put
the
it
pass no pass deadline, and the other like concrete thing it did, if you can call it concrete, is said that during the appeals process for kids who might get put on academic probation or like suspension or expulsion, that like they will take everything that's been happening into consideration. Those are the two new things.
Corey, he told you last week that he wasn't gonna be here apparently.
Did he say how?
In person. Okay, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Alright then.
Alright.
Okay, so we
What was
want
it?
to talk about your email now?
Sure.
What has in front?
Would it make sense for me to read it aloud or
Sure.
like give a brief explanation? Okay, so Kiki and Kiana, two students who have been like organizing this petition along with other students, reached out to Mosh and I and asked if we could send a letter to the student list because we have access to it. In the meantime, like while we were like trying to craft some sort of statement that was like powerful enough, the petition was sent to the student list anyway through like another alternative method, so they don't really need us to advertise it. However, I think it would be really, really huge of us as a body to send out a statement anyway. So I had a student, friend of mine, who is in a history class on campus with Carol Lasser that works with Oberlin High School, and they do like a whole bunch of work in the archives where they teach the high school kids how to use the like resources in mud. So this particular group is doing research on Kent State, or like Oberlin, and how it responded to Kent State massacre in 1970. So that's just a little preface, yeah? Would it be, would you want me to read it aloud, or do we want to, I don't know what you all feel is like necessary, so.
It is super long.
Yeah, it's quite.
And I'm already halfway through it, so if you guys all just start reading it now, like.
Does everybody have the ability to read it on their device right now?
If no, sure.
Yes. So do we want to just take like 10 minutes?
Out of curiosity, does it matter for the record or not?
Wait, what?
Does
What?
it
No,
matter
it
for the
doesn't
record?
matter.
Okay.
I mean,
If we
we
read
send
it?
it.
No.
Because we're
Because we're just-
So
Right.
we can send it or not.
Yeah.
Just give it a minute.
I don't know if you all have seen it or would like to look at my phone and read, but
Does anyone have a pen and pencil I can
I
borrow?
do right here. Yay.
Does anyone have a sheet of paper that I can, or like a scrap?
I've seen
Yes.
it.
I literally like at 6:50 was getting food from the lab and he was like,
Never mind. I'll beat you to it.
thank you, Albert.
Oh, you're gonna love it. Ow, ow. And if anyone has any questions during this process, please let me know.
I mean, are you gonna add the like pass no pass deadline and the other thing?
Yeah.
'Cause,
Yeah, I was
like-
gonna ask, in light of what happened, how does removing ourselves from the symbolic nature of it, which I do agree is like very powerful, but I'm just curious as to like, in terms of strategy, like in terms of what is actually attempted to be accomplished, in light of what it just got sound, like how does this potentially change?
Should we wait to discuss that until after everyone's read it?
Yes.
Great.
I just want to put that question.
It's a good question. I think it's something we can all think about.
And I think that bleeds over into this.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I see this like from how far I've gotten, and I see this as just like information. Just like there's a lot of really good information that needs to be shared.
Yeah. It's also really important, and I think it's very timely now that students understand there is a precedent for an actual agreement for the suspension of standard grading, considering that Krizlov has just refused to do that. So this will give students the information they need to know that this is something that can happen.
Right.
The previous time though was what happened with the previous time? What is the context of
It was Vietnam and Kent State.
Okay.
The shootings
Was-
in Kent State by the National Guard.
And that was related to, and the way that what happened with the grading system, was it this C to A scale, or was it?
It sounded like they sort of created different tracks. Like
Okay.
they like sort of let, and Megan, like please correct me if I'm wrong, that like they had one track that was like for students who wanted to do activism work, that they sort of went on some kind of different academic path that allowed them to like complete their coursework and like not fail,
Yes.
while like doing that type of activist work and like leaving campus and like stuff like that. And then there were students who chose to sort of remain in the like regular track and carried on like business as usual with their classes, is my understanding of what happened.
That sounds about right to me as well, at least from what I gleaned. I didn't meet with anyone to like discuss it. It's just like my own interpretation of the text that I had, which is all from archives and microfilm and Lead. And I can also forward y'all the like sources, the primary sources, the
And-
actual documents.
To be clear, this was something that President Carr proactively implemented or implemented as a response to student activism on campus.
Of that I'm not sure.
Okay, that would also be really powerful information to know, because
Right.
especially if it was the case that Robert Carr was like
Yeah.
preemptively did this. It was like, I see how this is affecting my
Yeah, that
students.
would be pretty
That would be-
badass.
That would be amazing, right? That'd
Yeah,
be incredible.
that would say some things.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling we're going to talk about this for a while, so I'm going to start keeping stack. So if you have something.
I haven't done reading it.
Yeah. It's also very long.
Sorry.
No, I just
It's
like.
not a bad thing.
No, I just like, when you know how it is when you get confronted with a block of text in your email. We all know how it is. So I don't know. I basically my concern is that I want everybody to read this, because I think all of this is important.
Right, I wonder, I'm just gonna be like the most obnoxious person on record. I wonder if you like put my name at the top of it and are just like urgent message from Senator Bautista et al.
Well, and that way, the other thing that we could do is we could say that this is a message from you, but that it's basically sponsored by us, it's being carried by us, and like
Yes.
we can allow for the option of us to sign on at the end of it.
That would be cool.
Like even if we don't have unanimous support of what's going on, at least we can say, all right, like maybe we don't all support exactly what's going on in here, but we all support everyone being able to know what's in this email, and like having senators who are on board with it be able to sign on.
Yeah, and
But it does say explicitly endorse the petition, so
Yeah.
Yeah, we can like work with it, especially because it seems
Yeah.
like there needs to be like more stuff included
Yeah.
after.
I think
today.
if, as like,
Yeah, on purpose.
sort of like the editorial, like kids, like we can have every individual senator who wants to like sign on to this email, and if you don't want to sign on to this email, like we can't force you. And we're not like, we're not passing a actual referendum. Like that's, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
we're not implementing
a resolution.
policy,
Right, we're not, this isn't like a formal resolution. So it's not like if it passes, that means it's from the Senate. This is like kind of different.
Can I just take sort of a general feelings, like how do we feel about the information that's in here? How do we feel about being the ones to send this information to the student body? Like and this is not talking about like the wording, we can talk about the wording, but like general feelings, how do we feel about that?
Do you mean information is in the background or information is in endorsing the petition?
I mean the background information specifically. So, okay, cool, all right. So that's something we can all agree on, good.
But I just want to talk a little about how the strategy changes in light of this last email, because I think like it's very much a response to the petition, and it seems kind of final, and I think Perhaps the best way, if we are looking to help students further, the best way to redirect that energy is to like look for particular professors that may be willing to help, because I think we've identified that President Krizlov doesn't have the power to like make individual faculty do things necessarily.
It's Catherine Stewart, y'all.
Well, even
I don't even know if it's her. I think it's like, isn't it individual professors like design their own, like a dean can't like force.
But they can create
Well,
alternate tracks.
there's an exceptionally high degree of faculty independence at Oberlin.
Yeah.
Which is something that dates back to when Charles Finney came.
And quite frankly, just speaking with individual professors, a lot of the ones I've spoken to at least are not in favor of like changing the entire thing. Though I know that some faculty have taken like the initiative on their own to create an alternative system, which is good. But I'm just curious about like where are we trying to get to? Because if we're trying to get to a certain thing, we need to be effective in doing it and not just put things out. You know? So let's keep sacrificing.
I don't know if we wanted to, I don't know how people felt about this, but since perhaps if we're considering that this suspension of the grading system is off the table, could we look to maybe the options that were mentioned in this email, the other options that took place during the 1970s, perhaps saying like, even though the administration has declined to basically allow us to have this C-level kind of grading floor, could we call on the administration to continually work with students to develop alternative strategies, such as perhaps an implementation of, what is it, a kind of different pathway for, like an activist pathway almost? Yeah.
Sure.
I don't know if you.
I mean, I personally would think that would be like the best thing ever, if
Yeah.
only we had like time in the semester
Yeah.
left.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
just that it's
No,
finals,
yeah.
and right now it's already kind of set in stone how students' grades are going to come out.
I think a huge thing would be extending the incomplete period from 2 weeks to a longer period than 2 weeks.
It's like the end of winter term.
What
I
did
think
it
that's
say
what
in
he said.
Krislav's? I think that's what it
As
said.
stated in the memo sent to students and faculty last week, offices of the Dean of Studies and Conservatory Associate Dean for Student Academic Affairs are exercising additional flexibility in administrating requests for incompletes. We are extending the deadlines for incomplete requests until the last day of
Right,
finals.
but that's not about actually how much time you have to complete
So
the work.
does it address how much time at all?
Saturday. It's the last.
When you get
last
to
day of
apply
finals.
for an
No, that's when you
incomplete,
get to apply, yeah.
not when you're incomplete, like the work for the incomplete has to be complete.
Well, also in the preceding paragraph, it says working with individual faculties and the dean to assist and support students as best as they can. So I think that goes as far as you can in terms of leaving it ambiguous without saying like 3 weeks, 2 weeks, because it's different for every person.
Right, but there is like a technical deadline for incompletes, like mandated by the college, which is 2 weeks.
2 weeks after finals?
2 weeks after finals.
Okay.
That's because when the grades.
Right, when the grades are
So
due.
what is that, like January 3rd or something?
I think it's the same day the grades are due, or it's the
January
day before
4th.
or something like that.
It's like the beginning of winter term.
Yeah, so basically you have to do all of your finals over the holidays.
Okay.
As opposed to
After
like next semester.
or
I mean,
next.
as opposed to during winter term,
Yeah.
as opposed to having the deadline for incomplete grades being due, or even like the 15th of January, you know, just so you had some time, like, I don't know. I personally would be like, you know, if I'm in this like trying position, like I would just want to go back and see my family and just be able to hang with them, you know.
Wait, I'm sorry. I was totally messing this up. Ben,
Yeah.
Justin.
Yeah. So I guess the issue here is that like, well, part of the issue is that like, there is such a time crunch, like Megan said, and it's like if something is gonna happen, it like needs to happen like literally right now. So like, and then also I guess the other thing is that in response to like sort of like what happened with President Carr, is like that was very much a response to like a single event, which was the shooting at Kent State. And so I think it's much more difficult for us to figure this out because it hasn't necessarily been a single event; it's been a sustained series of events, right? So like how to deal with that is a little more difficult. Also because like this has been, people have been talking about this for a while, but there hasn't really been a response until right now.
Yeah.
Which is sort of like obviously like it would have been much better if the administration had gotten ahead on this, especially because now it puts us in a situation where there's not a ton that can be done just because it's so late.
Just to clarify, like, I don't really think it was because of one event, because of Kent State. It was because there was a war where people were being drafted and where the United States was, you know, completely destroying this other country. So I don't think characterizing it as like one event is fair. But
I mean, the one event triggered the mobilization of college students.
Right.
They were less involved.
We could say the same thing about the lack of downs.
Right.
But it's Megan.
So, as someone who like really appreciates this like incomplete extension, I can honestly say that even if I do like complete all of the assignments, I will not pass my classes. And like, I don't think any one of you can look to me and like think that I deserve that after this semester, right? So that's what it comes down to, is that like, yes, there's certain things that we have that can support students, but it is not enough, right? We can't just wait till the very end and assume that we can just like be like, oh, like take 80% of, you know, this is only 80% of the final work that we have. Like, that's really great. Like, you know, thank you for not having us take our finals. You know, this is all wonderful. However, there will still be at least 2, and if, you know, like if shit really goes down, 3 or 4 Fs on my transcript this semester. Do you know what that means for students of color? Do you know what that means for low income students who might have to complete 5th years now? This will mean in not just a 5th year, this will mean an additional semester because I was already going on my 5th year, right? So I don't know if that's like significant to factor in. It's just, you know, like, yes, like Krzyzlov's email was like fine and dandy. Like, thank you for extending the pass, no pass thing. I'm still not gonna pass, right? So fuck that. We need to do something about that, yeah? Okay, so I don't know about this letter, because there's a lot of shit that we need to go into it, that would need to go into it before this GFAC.
Clarifying question?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to make this about you, but I think like it's maybe helpful to talk about it a little. If there are particular students who are in that kind of circumstance, have there been like conversations with the faculty in particular that teach those classes? Because I feel like honestly, if you told them that, like they would be very sympathetic to you.
Yeah.
And that kind of gets away from all the unanticipated consequences of doing it for the entire school.
So do you mean like, have I talked to my individual professors about this stuff? Yeah, absolutely. Just about everyone except for the like cis white man one.
And they say?
They've all been really supportive. My research methods professor, Daphne John, who's the head of the social department, just said, I'm not like letting you fail this class. It's also a required class for the major. So she told me like, we're gonna do whatever it takes, but I'm still very behind in that class. So I don't know what else she can do. Another professor has kind of like already come under a lot of heat for like passing students of color or giving them these grades that are just like a B and like a C and like an A and a C of like lower grades, like D's and F's, right? So like just giving them better grades than they deserve, and he's like come under the microscope for that. And he actually was just like, hey, I understand if you turn this in like X amount of weeks late, I'll just act like it was like this late, right? So they're doing a lot to be supportive in the meantime, but we have to go out of our way. And I can't even tell you how frustrating that is to be like, hi, like, do you see me? I'm struggling here. I have been this whole time, 4 years now. So, you know what I mean? And then I guess third professor, who's Meredith Gadsby, was already just like, girl, do what you gotta do. I support you wholeheartedly. And she herself was a student activist at Vassar. But she made sure to include, she's like, but I still got my shit in on time. I was just like, okay, that's fine. That's real. And then I went and met with Dean Doan, who was like sort of supportive, but also mostly not. Kind of like was like victim blaming, like, so what did you do? Like to have you like get all of these like shitty midterm reports. And I was just like, oh, you know, like I asked to not have a computer this semester, and like, you know, anyway, I don't want to like get into all of this shit with you guys, but basically the microaggressions are layer upon layer. There's faculty support, right? But like think about it in terms of federal government and state government, you know. It's the same shit. Like we can't leave it up to the state. We can't leave it up to the professors to deal with students. We need it coming from one unified like body that has the most power to govern all of these states, even though it acts like it doesn't, right? So anyway, yeah, like I have professors are in the sociology department, of course, very supportive. And in the Africana Studies department and the Comparative American Studies department are very supportive. Maybe politics, who knows? But yeah, so social sciences, I think, the professors are kind of on point, or at least the students feel more comfortable in engaging in these dialogues. And that's an entirely different beast, right? So I know that certain science departments, like the geo department today had a meeting to talk about like institutional awareness about what's going on, how to create support systems for like students of color in the major, like all the great work that Geo does as a department, because it's like the most diverse department, has the most low income first gen and women and POC students as a science department. It's like kind of just like a trailblazing, amazing department. And like that's the work that's being done there, is trying to get more students involved in like creating these conversations about diversity. But like still like very, I don't know, like one professor in the geo department sent out an email being like, you can like not take your finals. So that was like good. But yeah.
Jordan?
Yeah, so I really don't think we should be trying to develop a new demand besides from the one that people of color have already expressed as the demand to us. So I think it's good for us to acknowledge what Krislov has said in response and what he's doing in response, but I think we should also call that inadequate and not what the people of color on this campus have asked for. And I think maybe highlighting the work of the geo department, which I knew nothing about until now. Like I think saying, saying like highlighting, saying like we're excited by the work these departments are doing, and like the fact Krislov hasn't done what he really needs to do. So we can suggest maybe that there are more individualized solutions that professors can enact on a case-by-case basis, but I think we should still express the demand that people of color on this campus have expressed, which is the C4.
Yes.
So I don't think we should be talking about any other solution really.
Ty?
I was basically going to say what Jordan said. I'm not sure I have anything else to add.
Okay.
I think, so I think in regards to the email, I think it is a good idea for us to send it out because it is part of our responsibility to educate students, and this is the single biggest issue on campus right now. So I think we do have a bit of a responsibility to send this.
Duty to report.
Also because like people don't know, like a lot of people like are sort of out of the loop. They don't know like what the justification behind all this stuff. And I think it would be really good with our access to the entire student body's inboxes to be able to send something out. And then in regards to the general issue, I think like I understand that Marvin Krislov and the administration can't like force professors to grade a certain way. But like, and this was brought up at the convocation, but that doesn't mean that like his opinion like doesn't matter. Like he can like still like he can ask like or like just say like, hey, we encourage this. Like
I support any students who are done
but encourage it like more firmly than just saying like we support like flexibility like with students. Like offer like more specific suggestions. I mean, I don't know. And then in terms of, I guess we'll discuss later, general faculty. But I don't know what they could do about this. I'm sure there's some things they could do. But I don't know.
I mean, this is, sorry to jump stack. This is like crazy, but I don't really know what the procedure for putting something on general faculty and like moving it to a vote is. I don't know if this is votable, but it would be it's an interesting thought.
And myself next. I just want to bring up the question of what our intention is here again, because I think, again, I agree that the power of symbolism is something that it's one of the big powers we have, right? And I think that by showing support, that's a big thing on campus. But at the same time, like I'm very concerned with actually providing support, and I think if we just demand another thing from President Krislov, which he cannot deliver, then what does that actually do at the end of the day on Wednesday and on Friday and on Saturday for people who are actually failing the classes, you know? So I think, I mean, maybe I'm mistaken, but my perception of the situation is that there's not a top-down response to this. Number one, there can be, number two, there won't be. And so the solution seems to be with individual faculty members who are not willing to like concede an additional flexibility, right? And so I think if we can identify who those people are and then individuals can have conversations, perhaps that's in my opinion, the best way to go about it. If you guys want to send an email saying that we support this general idea, I think that's fine. We'll ask the question, like, what is the purpose of doing so, and what does that going to mean at the end of next week? So I just want to throw that out there. And Nick.
So I think what we can all like talk about in terms of like this email concretely is like the first part of it needs to be revised, take into account what Christoph sent out today, for sure. I think that the email that we send out, if it's late, if it's out of date, if new information has come out since we sent it out, like we're gonna be seen as behind the times. Like we need to be very current with our criticisms. So part of that is not criticizing what Christov's done in the past, but criticizing this, like what he just sent out. And I think that's sort of what makes up the first part of the email, and I think that needs to be revised and updated. In terms of the information about the car, all that should stay. I think that's pertinent information. I don't think enough people know about that. And in terms of supporting the petition, I think that, again, it comes down to the power of symbolism. Maybe we know pragmatically that us supporting the petition is not going to get anything concrete done, but it's just one more group on campus that's come out in support of this. Adding on to the geo department, the athletics department, the exco committee. Like, we're putting our stamp on this. We're saying like we support this. And I mean honestly, I think you're right. I don't think there is a whole lot concretely that we can do. There just isn't enough time. This is our last plenary. After we leave here, we're interim senators. Like, we're dealing with finals this next week. Like, I don't think there's a lot that we can do as a body except come out in support of this and say like we support the students. We're an elected body. We're elected by the students, and we support these students' demands.
Clarifying question: did athletics and Geo endorse the petition, or did they? Because I'm pretty sure my interpretation of it is that they just endorsed. No. So Geo did an entirely separate solution. That was not outlined in the petition. Athletics just gave general support. Is that correct?
That's kind of what Geo did too, though. It like had nothing to do with the petition.
Are you keeping stacks up?
Yeah. Other Nick?
I echo much of what Mark Nuda said, and I think that there's a lot of support that we can, like, I definitely agree that, okay, so we recognize that the administration has acted and provided certain resources in certain ways to help students who are organizing and healing in response to Ferguson, right? And I don't think that it's really what, like I think Ben said, it's not really our job to try to, or was it Ty? It's not our job to come up with new ideas.
I think it's
Jordan. Oops. And I think one of my major concerns is the way that this, like, thinking about a broad umbrella rule about the C to A scale, as well as I've heard parts about communal testing, but I don't know if that's actually in the petition. I haven't seen that. And that might be misinformation that's also running around. With that, it's one of those kind of things, making that a wide affecting call is, I think, complicated, and the individualized work, and so much of what has been done has been to help with individual cases, right? And so, sorry, I'm trying to collect my thoughts. I think the information that's presented in this email about kind of the history of what has been done, especially by President Carr, that's really great information. And it's good to get that out to the student body. And we have a duty to report this kind of information, I think. And then to kind of allow students to make inferences and figure out where they stand on the petition and how they want to support people, or how they want to act with regards to the petition. I would wonder if maybe our point of support would be similar in lines with athletics and geo without explicitly stating the petition. That's something that I agree with a little bit more. And trying to help make sure that students are supported so that they can heal, organize, and get their academic work done. Showing support for those kind of actions. I don't know if the petition, I know that I personally have some, I think that there are other ways than the petition to go about providing support for the student body and for the people of color and Black students on campus.
Like what?
What other ways? I know that there have been the 3 that have already happened, meaning extensions, incompletes, and the opening up the pass no pass date.
What does that do about the Fs on the transcripts?
For the Fs on the transcripts, and that's one of those major, trying to figure out how to make up those kind of work, or whatever work is missing, if there's a way to go, but maybe, I mean, do we want to start the conversation about what else could be done?
I mean, I have a little thing I wrote down here as something we could like think about, just like things that I've just thought of listening to all of you. So like if we can't be proactive, I feel like it might be like an opportunity to think about like being reactive. So like if this petition doesn't get honored or looked at or considered whatever, then, so we can show up to the GFAC tomorrow, amend this statement to include and reflect the 2 more or whatever it is, accommodations that Krislov posited in his email, deliver it to GFAC, pressure the faculty and Krislov to honor the petition, and when they don't, we can just say like, hey, can you like, Krislov, can you strongly encourage the faculty to not fail students of color specifically? And then if that doesn't happen, then there could be like a mass appeals process of all of the students of color who got Fs and Ds. And like those appeals must be granted, and that'll clog the system. You know what I mean?
But isn't that what's happening? Don't we have like a very soft appeals process that I just got outlined in the last,
The appeals process is shitty
Yeah, I
for
don't think
people.
that the
Like,
appeals process itself is.
the incomplete
It's the
process is
incomplete
shitty
process
for people. Like you're like, I mean, Megan, I think can speak to it a lot better than I can. But from my discussions with students who have gone through these processes, and like, that's no guarantee for how processes are going to go for the future. But you're really kind of being interrogated on your academic standing, and I think that's incredibly stressful. Like that's just one more huge stress and emotion, and I don't know where I am on stack. I kind of just jumped in.
Can I respond to that?
Yeah, go for it.
I think the appeals process, one thing I'd like to say about that is that like, I think it's obviously it's nice that they have outlined this sort of increased flexibility and appeals and things like that, but the thing is that like the appeals process, as from my understanding, is generally the result of that is either not putting someone on probation, or sort of like lessening whatever the penalties are for them failing the class. It doesn't result usually in like expunging the F or anything like that. And so I think it's great that they're willing to do this, but I think it doesn't necessarily address one of the fundamental issues that we've already outlined, and that Megan was describing. So I think, there's work to be done on that.
You have to go?
Yeah.
I can jump you. Go ahead.
It's been really interesting listening to this, and I do need to go to work. But I guess I just want to say, I recognize I'm saying this as a white person, but I think we all, and by we I mean you all as Senate, need to like do a better job listening to the people of color around the table that are telling you like what people of color need right now, instead of trying to like suggest alternatives or like say that it's not needed at all, because the way that like you're handling these national events is not the same way that people of color are handling these national events. And if they're like speaking up about what they feel that they need, like, open your ears, please. Yeah. And if you could all put your chairs back how you found them when you're done, that would be really cool so I don't have to do it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good night.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, Mahmoud, like your idea that this comes down to like finding individual professors and like working with them, like how do we find these professors? Like those discussions when you're trying to have a discussion with a professor, like a statistics professor or whatever professor who doesn't understand these issues in the same way, how much like trauma does that add to a student? And like I basically come down to like, yeah, like what Zoe said, what Jordan said, like we should support these students and what they say they need. And then lastly, like I don't really understand why we're saying it like can't be done. Like I know that Krislov has responded the way he's responded so far. I think it still could be done. I think as like student representatives, you know, we should work as hard as we can to try and get it done until it's over. But I don't think it's over. I just don't think it's over.
Megan?
I was on there?
Yeah.
I probably said it already, whatever it was.
I can put you at the bottom if you want.
Please.
Ben?
I think from what I'm hearing and from what I've heard over the course of this last week, there are a lot of people who are uncomfortable with the petition. I've signed it, but I don't know that necessarily as Senate we should endorse the petition, but I think that we should definitely at the end, if we don't endorse the petition, include specific, sort of add on to the last paragraph and include a specific request or demand for sort of solutions to the problems that the petition outlines. So like even if we don't endorse it, I think we need to include something along the lines of like, we would ask that some sort of solution to this be found. Like we would ask that students not receive failing grades.
Yeah.
Because something specific.
So can I direct respond to that? Is that cool?
Is it a question? I also have you on stack, so.
When am I in stack?
Near the bottom.
Never mind. I'll come back to that.
Anjali?
Oh, I was just gonna say, so I was thinking about how Megan was talking about what are we gonna do about these like F's on transcripts? What are we gonna do about these failing grades? And maybe a solution we could talk about is like retakes or redos of like homework over like a break. Like not necessarily saying that like maybe some professors, especially science professors and more math-based professors, might not be comfortable saying like, okay, we're not going to fail you, but giving students another chance on things that they have failed. Like if you failed a test, maybe talking to professors about retakes. Is that something we could discuss as an option?
I was thinking very much along the lines of Anjali. In the sense that, I mean, much of academia, like if we want to get into institutional academia and think about what kind of precedences have happened, and like what this long-standing history of academics has been. Correcting work, revising work, envisioning work, and rethinking work has been, I mean, that's one of the big things that tends to be missing, but also somewhat present in much of academia, from my perspective. When you turn in a paper, you typically get a grade back, and that's kind of the end of the story. But that's not how professors work. Like, professors hand in papers and present them in different discussion settings in cohorts. And I would wonder how receptive professors would be to retaking tests, correcting work, and thinking more about how to develop those theses on an individual basis for students who are struggling. And I think it could provide, frankly, a really valuable precedent, pressing something like that, because of the continued development of students' education in the future. But then again, that's also me suggesting something that I don't know.
I guess I have two things. One of them is an immediate response to that, and that doesn't really work because of the problems outlined with other suggestions that have been made. Because the professors are still gonna have to get in their final grades for classes by January 3rd, 4th, whatever.
They can be changed after the fact, though. They can. Like, that's,
But how
it's
does
a little bit
how
difficult,
do you
but
meet?
They can or can't be changed?
they can.
Can.
They can.
Okay.
What is that is that part of the appeals process?
No, it's different than the appeals
What
process.
process is it?
I don't know. I'm not that versed in that part, but I do know that it
Sick,
happens.
sick to know what that was.
Okay, and then the second thing is, I wanted to ask this earlier, but like, I guess this is a question for Eric. Like, what, being so close to the general faculty meeting, like, how much are we going to be able to just kind of like slide something in for Wednesday? Like, is that even
Like something for a vote?
not necessarily even for a
Oh,
vote,
for the
just
agenda?
to bring this up?
We definitely
Yeah.
get to add whatever we want to the agenda, correct?
I would say that Senate traditionally has, at the end of the semester, had the opportunity to provide an end of the semester report. And so if you wanted to use that opportunity to, I think you can see this as a sort of discussion that might fit into that context.
Okay. Yeah, am I on stack up to court here?
No, I am.
You are. You should raise your hand and put yourself on stack. Is that cool? Just so we all know. Sorry.
Well, I just wanted to help focus the conversation by posing the question, what are we actually going for at this moment? If it is a general faculty thing, what are we going for? And if it is a kind of statement, what does it have to do with the petition versus general support? And who are we asking and what are we asking them for? And just kind of curtailing off that, I just want to say that my personal hesitance to put forth our name behind this petition is the sole thing we do is out of concern for the fact that it wouldn't do anything for students. You know, like, I'm not worried about us. At this point, I'm not very worried about, like, making symbolic statements. Like, people want to fail, like, that's what's real for me. You know, that's what I want to address. And so, like, I just don't want us to get caught up, and sometimes this happens, like, sometimes we get caught up in, like, making a symbolic gesture, and at the end of the day, someone's going to fail and didn't do anything. It's like, let's identify the points where we can actually make a difference and then work at that. And I just want to help focus the conversation that way. So, Megan is next.
Oh. I understand that, like, the opportunity to, like, retake things that you might have failed on would be, like, really pragmatic for certain departments, I guess. So, like, if you're doing problem sets and you, like, flunked it because you didn't study or something like that, right? That's something. However, like, as someone who does soc, there's no way that I'm, like, taking a crack at doing four 12-page papers again this semester, because my professor was too insensitive to see that I was struggling, or too foolish to see that, too foolish for any of this shit to give me the grades that I've gotten. You know, most of my professors have been really lenient, but I know that I am very fortunate to have strong relationships with those professors in my department that understand my needs, whereas, like, other students not so much, and to, like, call upon them to be like, hey, maybe you should, like, just, you know, go at it again, one more shot, like, maybe that'll, like, make your life a little bit easier, and maybe then you'll get the grades that you deserve. That's not, also, again, it leaves the power in the hands of the faculty to be like, you know, well, maybe, you know, like, maybe I thought you fucked around on it over winter term, so I'm still gonna give you a C. You know, like, that's all up to chance. Like, I do not trust that. And I can also speak to, like, working with professors who have told me I'm gonna pass and who have still failed me for, like, on multiple occasions. So I can speak to all of this bullshit if you guys want me to at any point in time, if it would provide context as to why the only thing that is going to help is making a C floor happen. So.
Jordan?
Yeah, so I really don't think we should, like, be trying to do some weird alchemy where we, like, figure out a new solution that we think, like, especially from almost everyone in this room's position as a white person, like, we really just don't know the variables that go into finding a solution to this problem. So when the community of people of color on this campus explicitly demand something that they think will solve their problem, we need to echo that demand. It's not our place to, you know, fiddle with it and try and make it better or come up with an alternative that we think will work, because we are unable to know what will work and what won't. So when people of color on campus give us a petition that's saying in explicit terms, we need this, how can we do anything but just support them in that? If the people of color on this campus in the coming days express a new option, I would be happy to support that too. But it's not up for us to like experiment with that new option. I think it's acceptable to highlight the work of departments on campus that we think have done a good job, like the geology department. And I also think a general faculty, if we want to say professors like Krizlov isn't giving people of color what they want, please just listen to the students in your classes and hear their demands. That'd be useful too. But I really don't want us to like hijack campus activism and change the demands that they're making, where their representatives, not the people who like decide what our constituents think.
Nick.
So first of all, appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate that. I endorse all of what Jordan just said. I would like to say that I think that a lot of the constructive ideas that are coming out of this discussion are coming from a place of thinking about these like, you know, incidents that have happened as isolated incidents, and they're not isolated incidents for the people who have to live them. Like, this is day in and day out. This is real life. So basically, like, if you were to say like, oh yeah, you can make up all your tests, that's not relieving any pressure. It's just pushing it forward. It's just pushing it to the future. It's ensuring that you'll have a longer time where you're under this pressure. And at the end of the day, it may do nothing to help you not fail. That's up to the whim of each instructor. So I think that one thing that we can demand as a body is...
Could you repeat that?
Huh?
Could you repeat the last two sentences?
Oh shit.
Just rewind, you know.
Yeah, each instructor.
Leaves it up to the what?
Up to the whim of each instructor.
Yeah, it leaves it up to the whim of each instructor.
But before that, you said no. If we support this, it still leaves it up to the whim of the instructor. Is that correct?
Is that what I said?
I don't think that's
certainly not what I
said.
I'm not
Said it.
Anyway, I guess basically one thing that we can concretely demand is like, so we know that you can change a grade after the fact, after a teacher, like what is the process by doing that? We demand to know that. Like students need to know that, and like if the 15 of us here don't know, my guess is that the 2,800 of us outside of here don't know. That's my guess.
It's something that...
So that's something we could demand at general faculty. Say like, we want an email that outlines these processes. We want email with links to websites that outline. We want students to know exactly what options they have. Mm-hmm. Here it's just basically, they're telling us the options that they like want to tell us. Like, no, we want to know all of our options. Like, and if there's nothing in here that says like your final grade can be changed after it's reported, that's great information to know. It's not in here. That can also be in our email that we sent out.
Yeah, totally.
Can I get a clarifying question for?
Yeah, I guess I had one like last part of that statement. Basically, like we can do these things. We can send out this email that says like here are all our options, but we shouldn't like that's not our responsibility. It's the institution's responsibility to let us know what our options are. It's not. We can do it. We can pick up that slack, but that's slack that's being left for us to pick up.
Well, someone has to.
Someone has to do it, and I think we're the last option.
I've been here for 3 years. I still don't remember what this thing is, but I think it means clarifying information, so I'm going to throw that out. I'm looking at the page that says academic deadlines and appeals, and I think this provides all the clarification in terms of grades.
Can you stand that up to all of us?
Or just read it real quick.
I'll send it and I'll read it, but briefly it says, no appeal will be accepted if the faculty member has already submitted a final grade to the student, if classes have ended for the semester, or if more than 2 weeks have passed since the deadline which is being appealed. And then the second point is certain changes cannot be appealed after the deadline. Specifically, the option to change to pass, no pass, or change back to letter grades will not be accepted after the established deadline. So I don't know how to reconcile that with the anecdotes that you have, but that's what you have on paper. So
it's not even addressed. It's not saying you can't do it, but it's not saying you can't.
Yeah,
it sounds like
these are all rules that the college makes. Like you could do pass no pass after the pass no pass deadline until the students pressured them and they changed the pass no pass deadline.
Yeah, that's true.
Like these things are they're not set in stone. Like they can be changed.
So can we, as a demand, can we concretely demand like we want a process to be outlined wherein people can appeal their final grades after the deadline, or to extend the deadline for final grades from whatever it is, January 4th to like the 15th or the 20th or whatever. Yeah.
Just clarify, who would you be asking that? Like the faculty?
We would be addressing the general faculty.
So we would have to make sure as many faculty get there as possible. Correct?
Yeah, I guess so.
And then send us an email.
when we send it out to, this is a clarifying question on your clarifying question. When we send out an email to the listserv, does that go to everybody within Oberlin.edu? Just students? Okay.
Do we have access?
We can look through web pages and find every single person's email. That would take time, but we can do it. And ask everyone to come and listen to the message.
Sorry.
Like we can, so it's Wednesday, tomorrow I can do it myself. We can go through all the emails of like the department pages and email them individually and say like, we have an important message from students and we would appreciate it if you came.
Hell yeah.
Or if other people want to do that, I don't want to do it on myself.
So I think we need to start getting into like, what are we concretely
Yeah.
What are we gonna do?
Good. So I had time next.
Yeah, perfect. I think the problem that we're having on like trying to get into the specifics of the email and specifics of general faculty is there isn't consensus on how we feel about the petition and about these student demands. So it's like very hard to get into what exactly we're going to do when we don't all agree on the general ideas, which is a problem. I think that as far as the email goes, my thoughts are we can send out the email with all the information at the end, or whatever part we put the petition in. Whatever senators want to sign and say we support this petition should be able to do that. Senators who don't want to do that, that's your prerogative. But I think, having it, accountable, like these are the people who support it, these are the people that don't.
But we all want you to have this information.
We all want you to have this information, is really important. As far as general faculty goes, I really wish I understood and I would love to get some clarification on the process behind adding something to the agenda, because I know that we do have the ability to do that to some degree. We have some type of mechanism for being able to make a presentation at general faculty. Can you clarify that one?
Yeah, if you guys want to do this address thing, we literally just email the secretary and say, we have this end of your address, please ask to
Right, so let's do that.
Do it.
I think we can kind of do a very similar thing to the email, in that we can all collectively present this information, and then we can present the petition, and again we can say, here are the senators who support it. And
at general faculty, or you mean through the email?
General faculty.
Which is basically, I thought a second ago we were talking about extending the stuff. I thought that's what we were asking.
What? Requesting extending what?
Extending the deadline for pass no pass.
Yeah, I mean, if we
want, that's already been extended. Extending the deadline for when final grades are due.
If we want to talk to, and like, if people like Megan want to talk to the organizers of these student activism movements and see if some of these ideas can be incorporated into their demands, or what they want. I think that's great. I don't think we should make any demands ourselves without talking to them first. I think these are ideas to bring to them and see how they respond. But yeah, basically I think the main point of what I'm trying to say is, both with the email and with GFAC, we don't all agree on the way that we feel about this petition. I don't think we're all going to come to a consensus during this meeting. I think giving people the autonomy to, as part of it, be like, I support the petition, I don't support the petition, with whatever we do with email and with general faculty, will help alleviate a lot of those problems.
So I was just going to kind of underscore the importance, if we want to state, of including the activists and members of the community we're trying to advocate for at this general faculty meeting. If we go in, as you said, Ty, with our own list of demands that we have come up with as ourselves, that is not reflective of the work that they have been doing this entire period and spending countless hours on. So I think immediately, and I would use stronger language, instead of just trying to kind of incorporate their ideas, we should directly meet with them, we should directly contact them, sit down, have a brain session saying, listen, we have this opportunity as senators to present an entire report of student concerns in front of the general faculty. This is one of the most important platforms we have in Student Senate right at the end of the semester. It couldn't come at a more timely occasion. This is our chance to really make a mark for ourselves as Student Senate and support the cause of justice for our students, and to really show that we are supporting and advertise in front of the entire general faculty that here we are your direct advocates for you, and we are doing your job, and we are making sure we are accountable to you as student senators. So I would suggest that if we do decide to make this general report, and we have to decide that first, or we do decide that we're going to organize a report to the general faculty, we need to be proactive about it, and we need to say, this isn't just going to happen willy-nilly. We need to come up with a set of strategies. How are we going to meet with people on this? How are we going to incorporate their ideas on this? And we need to make sure that that happens in, as an inclusive, as all-inclusive as it can be, and as quickly as it can be. I know it's hard, but it really needs to happen if we want to do it well.
No one for president, man. Yeah, Meg?
Sorry.
Hey Mark, can I make a suggestion? When you say who's on stack, we also say who's next on stack so that they can prepare. Yeah, not good. Yeah,
Cool.
thank you.
I'm next on
Sorry.
stack.
I couldn't agree more with Nolan. I think moving forward, I'd like to proactively reach out to a couple student organizers, and at the end of this, come up to me confidentially and let me know if you want to be there, okay? And in saying that, underscoring the confidentiality part, I want to also publicly shit on all of you who are not willing to sign this petition. That I have lost all respect for you because this is my well-being, and I don't know, I might just have to dip set because clearly you don't care about me. And if you want to talk to me personally after this, then we should do that. But just know that there is a face to all this shit that we're talking about, and this face has been with you this entire semester, putting shit through and putting in work. So fuck you on record. Thank you. Sorry, I'm just really frustrated. Anyway, I really want to work together with you guys on this report. So yeah, well, let me know after this meeting in 40 minutes.
I have myself. Who wants to be after me? Someone else swings there. No.
I think we should almost, I would almost suggest we close stack and start discussing the meat of what we're going to send out to people and we're going to present.
Sure.
Yeah, I just want to be there.
Yeah. Anyone else? Otherwise, we'll close it. So I have myself, Justin, and Ben.
No, I want to talk about
You want to try to go on that?
Oh, so you want a different, you want to be on the other stack?
Okay,
I'm getting close.
You want to be on that?
Throw yourself on. Then
I
you
was
can.
totally kidding.
You good?
Then you can.
When do you ever make changes? You don't know? All right. So I just want to help collect my own thoughts and summarize so we're all on the same page because I've heard 10 different things, but it sounds like we have a good direction. So we're going to make some kind of statement at general faculty, right? Expressing support for the petition and then explicitly asking faculty for their support in extending the deadline for grades, right?
Yeah, can we look up, what is that exact date? Is that January 4th?
January 4th.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe extending it 2 weeks? Well, this is something we did
Yeah,
before.
Yeah.
this is exactly what we just said.
Yes.
This shit needs to go through the student
Yes.
organizers.
Yeah.
We can brainstorm all we want.
Yes.
We need to
Yeah,
get
but
this.
so we can say we want to extend it, but we'll leave the specifics up to the meeting with student organizers.
We'll see what comes out of the meeting.
Yeah, we'll see what comes
I'm
out.
responding to you.
Okay, good.
Okay. All right. I just want to make sure we're on the same page. Okay, Megan.
Actually, I want to give Nick the space to just say this thing that you just texted me.
Okay, that's a good
It's,
thing.
I think it's fine. I don't know if it would be appropriate to call executive session because I don't know what you have to say.
Oh, I feel like it's pertinent to the conversation. I know that.
Bring it up unless you're gonna divulge some plans.
Okay.
Super specific.
I mean, I have questions about what's going on, and I've only heard little bits and pieces, but I know that a large group of students are planning on showing up to the general faculty meeting. I don't think that that's any surprise, maybe.
If you were on vacation, you heard something.
Yeah, okay.
It's on the loudspeakers.
Yeah, I was there for a major chunk of the convocation, about an hour and a half. So I don't know if I was there for that part. And so, yeah, I mean, I'd love to know more. It might be a good idea for us to discuss what's going on, what kind of plan it is. I don't know if that's a good idea at this point.
I'm happy to step out for a few minutes if that would make people feel more comfortable.
I literally just texted like the people that have been doing this, and I'm out of the loop. I don't know.
I think as far as I know, there's no plan as of right
Oh,
now.
yeah.
That the
Right.
plans are not.
But we're
are
gonna
not
start working
formulated.
on them
Fair enough, I appreciate it.
Okay.
collaboratively.
Okay.
I dead ass do not know what is happening. Like I just texted these people, and I'm just like, we should talk. Unless they're like doing that on purpose, which would be a huge curveball for me. Yeah, all of a sudden I'm just like a mole or something for the man. But yeah, sorry, continue.
That was most of what
I think
I
the
know.
bottom line is there are no concrete plans.
Okay, there aren't any concrete
At
plans
least
within
on
the
our
works.
part too, right?
Yeah.
So if there is something that they're doing, I will definitely like talk to them and talk to like maybe 5 of you, and you can disseminate this information as you please. But yeah, as of right now, I have not the slightest clue of what is going on. And part of me, in my heart of hearts, feels like that is like actually happening on purpose. So I wonder if we'll have to organize something like on our own, which is fine, right? We can do this. So.
Okay, so hold on. Are we gonna send out an email in this plenary right now, or can we?
This is what we're talking about next, right? Now we're just getting our final thoughts.
I thought that's what we were.
Yeah,
that's what
we're
I thought we were
closing
working
stack,
to do.
or-
Yeah.
Oh, we still haven't closed stack yet? Never mind.
Yeah, we're still. What are you saying?
I'm on stack, correct? Good.
Ben?
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I would like to speak specifically about the email. I think that if people aren't comfortable with signing their name as a student senator on the petition, if you haven't signed the petition or anything, then we can just list at the end of the email, well, it already says, we fully endorse the petition, so we could just list it,
The following.
The undersigned.
The
we
undersigned.
could just have a little blurb at the end that
So
says,
funny.
we endorse the petition, and then sign people who are comfortable endorsing it. Because so that's my suggestion. And then in terms of the rest of the email, I'm totally fine with it. I think it's great. And I think it's informative. And maybe put a link into the petition.
Yes, I'm so bad at that
Because
stuff.
it seems like a good idea. If we're giving them all this justification and all this information, then like after reading that, if someone hasn't signed the petition, like that's when they're going to sign it. So like put the link at the bottom.
Oh, sure. I'm also working on a new version of it. By the way.
Petition?
No, not because I do not do that. Yeah, that's not my thing.
You should.
Nolan?
I'm not on stack, sorry. I put myself on
Nick,
accident.
last one.
Okay. One of the things
Okay.
I don't know, food for thought. As I've been involved in many of these conversations and listening to people present at teach-ins, at convocations, in a variety of different settings, and as I've been involved in multiple protests, I've taken a lot of like self-reflection and kind of critically thought about what each part means and what each thing means and what my role in each thing is. And one of the I want to ally, and I phrase that very specifically. I want to ally with causes around fighting police brutality and fighting for justice for Black and brown people who have been systemically targeted by police and by the state in general and the judicial system. And part of my thought process has led me to realize that I cannot act in solidarity with the parts of the people of color community on campus who are presenting the petition. And I wish to ally with them in other actions, but this petition is not one that I can do myself.
That's cool. You don't have to sign.
What I'm saying is,
You want to be able to work with them on other things.
I want to be able to work with people on other things. I want to be able to work and act in alliance with people. And I do ask, like, I do present this internal reflection to ask kind of many peers to figure out where you stand on things and what your individual position is. Not necessarily saying that you should join me or anything like that, but think critically about what's going on and think critically about what actions you want to take and how you want to take them. I worry a lot about groupthink, and frankly, some of I'm going to say groupthink, and I'm not going to use a different phrase of it because there's a lot of negative connotations around it. But think about individuality rather than kind of group, I guess. Like, think about your individual role in groups as well as systemic issues. But yeah, that's what I say.
And that's all we have. So now we want to talk about concrete.
Can I propose that we take a 5-minute break to think and refresh before we do that?
Yeah.
Sure.
Thoughts on that? Feelings?
I wish I had a cigarette. It's so stale. It's gonna be. It's starting to smell.
Don't worry about it.
It smells like
It's very summery, you know?
Yeah, I know. It looks like I got confused and thought I was going to a barbecue.
Why would you think that?
It was maybe the paper on a presentation.
Yeah, it's gross, right?
It's
Disgusting.
maybe
Got that, like,
Right.
Big shovels left in the trunk of your car.
Nobody here smokes cigarettes, do they? Like,
Pack on me, but I ran.
right. But you were worried about the break.
I'm not sure.
Thank you.
But if we're talking about what's actually.
We haven't technically restarted.
No, I know. What's the negative consequences of pushing it forward?
I'm talking about entirely different things. There are no negative consequences.
Right, but what's the negative consequences, not when I say push it forward, of presenting it and not having it happen? Like what's the cost?
We just expended a lot of capital in doing something which rendered no results. And so like, I'm just curious, like, how are we going to look in the eye and say we did something entirely symbolic to make ourselves feel good, and then nothing happened, sorry.
I did not do it to make myself feel good.
Yeah.
Or whatever reason you want to use.
I mean, look, if
Maybe
students,
we should start again.
if students,
Oh yeah, can someone let me know what you guys were just talking about? That would be really cool.
We'll talk about it. Well, let's bring it up again. But
The conversation-
is the thing on.
If we're restarting, we should just give a quick preface.
I mean, we don't
And
have.
everyone's here?
We don't have. Well, I mean, what
We
people,
have
some of what
we
people
have
just said, I don't know
a-
if they want on the record.
I want this on the record.
So then you should say what you have to say on it.
Sure. So I just want to talk about how. So it sounds like we're talking about two specific things at this point. Are we going to send the petition? And what are we going to say at the general faculty meeting? And I just want to, I mean, I've said this before, we need to think about what actually happens at the end of the day versus just sending it, right? Like on purely theoretical grounds, I don't think signing the petition, like endorsing the petition hurts anyone. But in terms of like what's actually going to happen, maybe it does hurt people if we expend so much political capital on something which renders no result. Like, does that make sense? And so like in thinking this way, like I don't want people to think I don't care about people. It's like I want something to actually happen, and I don't feel good like just passing something like nothing will happen. So at the end of the day, like what is that going to mean for people?
Well, it's a work in progress, you know, this Rome was not built in a day, and this is just like the beginning of this conversation, right? So we shouldn't expect to go in, it would be fucking awesome for all of our demands to be met instantly, right? But like, likelihood of that happening, this is what, like Kai said earlier, this is not over, like this is like not going to be over after GFAC either, not going to be over after we like maybe get our Fs removed either, you know, like this is going to be an ongoing thing, so like the idea of like no political action coming from it, I mean, there will be eventually, and it's going to come in the form of like more POCs like being on Senate, more POCs being on campus, you know, like more.
Yeah, and so like everything that's happened so far, that stuff does not happen unless students are pressuring the administration with everything that they got. And like, I think that if we support those students and who they are and like what they need, that saying we think this is what should happen hurts no one. Like if it doesn't happen, it's already been proven that asking for things causes the administration to do other things that may not be exactly what they're asking for, but are working towards something like that. So I just don't see how it hurts anybody, like, to go for it.
Ben?
I think, so I think, I would wonder, like, specifically when you say that, Longwood, like, what part of the petition are you talking about? Because I think, like, there is the specific part where it's mentioned the A to C grading system, but I think within the petition is a larger sentiment that's expressing the need for students not to fail, and that's simply posited as one possible way for that to happen. Like, and I think not to view this petition not in the light of, like, the progression of sort of like demands and like the movement around this is sort of silly. Like, and I think like if the administration or whoever we're losing this political capital with, like, isn't willing to like look at our endorsement of a petition in the context of like what's going on at the school in general, like that's BS. Like we shouldn't have to be like, and we should not like sort of like pander to that sort of like lazy attitude. So I think I don't see any harm in endorsing the petition, and I don't think that we will lose any political capital that we would have had anyway by doing so. So I don't know. I'm not super down with that argument.
Jordan?
I think a worry for me is that we move away from the petition and say the administration like gives us our dream and just accepts all our demands, whatever demands we decide to substitute for the demands of activists on campus. It's all hypothetical. I don't support any of this. Then suddenly we're in a position where the administration feels as though, oh, we heard the needs of students and we responded to them, when really they heard what a majority white student senate thought was the needs of students on campus, and then acted based on that, which is just not what was happening. So again, if the organizing activist communities of people of color on this campus decide that for whatever reason they don't want to work towards this A to C alternative to the grading system, then I'd be down to support them. But until they do that, I just don't feel comfortable from my position as a member of like a majority white student senate to say, well, these are the new demands of the students on campus. That doesn't seem like a fair representation of the work people of color on this campus have done with this petition.
I'll add myself. So just to answer your question, Ben, I'm thinking of primarily losing our relationship with the faculty, who seem to be the most important actors in this case, just because they would be the ones deciding whether or not something actually happens with their individual students. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but that seems to be what we're all saying. And then to your point, Jordan, in that case, I think it seems like it would be most pertinent to just talk to the group that's organizing first before we do any of this, and then figure out what they actually want. And then going into this entire conversation is kind of moot, because what if we go in one direction and in response to this email, they all decide they want to go in an entirely different direction? You know, so I just wanted us to think about that if that's a concern. Nick Canavan.
So I think that if we're all worried about how like supporting this petition, I think we need to be like very deliberate about how we like contextualize our support. So we don't have to contextualize it by saying like we support like I think we can say we support the petition because it is the demands of students, and we support the demands of students, sort of whatever they are. We support them, you know. So not necessarily like if we just say we support this petition, then that'll leave it up to open to interpretation. But if we say we support this petition because it is the response of students to, you know, institutional pressure, and we are an elected body elected by students, and we advocate on behalf of students, that's why we're supporting this. I think that could get all of us on board. I don't know if anyone disagrees with me.
Court?
I guess I agree with what Jordan was saying, but we are obviously very tight on time as to what we will be able to do with the semester ending very shortly. And then I guess I wonder to like what degree putting added voice on the petition itself will do. Because my understanding, which may be inaccurate, is that the Office of the President or whoever sent out the email saying that they were extending the emergency deadlines, and then the petition was formed as kind of a countermeasure to that, and went out, and then Krislov seemed to have received it, and then he put out the pass or pass extension, which is not enough, according to what some people have said. So to push for more from the administration side, I guess I would be concerned that there should be something new, but we're pressed for time and there just seems to be a conflict there. So I don't know, just kind of what is the best course of action?
Again, like, sorry, I don't know. Who's next?
Joseph.
Okay. I was just going to say that in regard to what Mahmoud was saying, that I think that I would definitely like to support the petition and try to put that through, but at the same time, we're in a position that we understand how the administration works and how policy works here, and that then our job is also to put forth some sort of realistic policy that would help immediate change and that we know would go through, or that we would expect to go through. Because I think that although the petition would be what we need, it wouldn't. I don't see it going through, and I think Krislov has basically said it will not be, and I want to keep fighting for that. But I also think if we only push for the petition and it doesn't go through, then we fail to help the students for this semester. That it'll help in the long term for the fight for this, but for this semester, the people with the failures on their grades, we have failed if we don't put forth some other viable solution for them to get out of this predicament.
Yeah. Good.
It's okay.
I was gonna say just like a couple things really fast. Again, like I don't know why we can't just send out this email with people who want to sign and say they're in support of the petition can just sign and say they're in support of the petition. We don't all have to figure out if we're all on the same page. You know, we have the information we have right now about what students are asking for. I'm sure new information will arise. We can take these, I think we can brainstorm all we want. We can take these to students, see how they feel about them. We can still present that at general faculty. I also think like what happens at general faculty is going to be somewhat outside of our control to some degree. So like we can do the best we can do. Not everyone has to support the petition. But I see no reason why we can't make presentations about the needs of students there, and the students who do support the petition can stand up and say, I support the petition. Yeah?
Could you clarify what you mean by it being out of our control?
I mean, what happens at journal, like there are other students who are organizing.
No, within the meeting.
Oh, like we have control over our own presentation, of course, but like there's likely going to be other things that happen. So like we can do the best we can do.
Megan?
So Justin, just to like address your point, I think it's like totally, okay. If we endorse this petition and nothing happens, we did not fail. That is not us. Let's remember who failed here, right? So moving forward, again, this is not like the end of the road. So if that happens, then there's a lot that we still have a lot of power. We still have a lot that we can do next semester in the interim, what have you. Like I brought up earlier, like maybe there could be like a huge like mass appeals process of these D's and F's. We could be involved in that. You know, there's definitely like other routes to take if one door slams in our face, right? We have to start brainstorming what those doors are though. Like, but we can't do that until we find out, or we should not do that. Preemptively, maybe we could, proactively. But otherwise, I think it's okay that like, it is okay, this like idea of failure, it is okay, it is something we can embrace because it's not the end of the road. It's just a small setback.
Okay, director's on that.
There's no question. I can put you on. Nick?
Me?
Yeah.
Yes. Think one moment. Yeah, I like the idea of writing up a draft about in support of, like with the information presented maybe revised a little bit, with the information about the Kent State precedents that is being referred to. That's really good information. And one that says we support offices and all of the different faculty that are working with students, and we support opening up different ways to support students in this trying time, you know? And then I would suggest including the petition link. That sounds like a good idea, so that people know where it's located and they can make the choice of if they want to sign from there. And we could include a list of senators that do sign the petition, do want to sign the petition and expressly support that. And each senator can make, so I'm thinking of constructing the thing, right? Each senator can make their own decision at the, like, we can have sincerely student senate, petition signers include XYZ, you know? Like sending out an email, I think would be a good idea for us to do, definitely. Sending out an email in support of students who are organizing and healing, I think is crucial. And discussing that methods of providing leniency, these actions to provide leniency, to provide flexibility, to provide and completes, to give people the chance to do the work that they need to do. That's important. So yeah, I'm sorry.
Justin?
Okay, yeah, I was just going to say that from what it seems like to me, we're only seeing change within the constraints of policy, as in they're like extending deadlines. They're not making any large changes to the system that's in place for grading. So I sent out an email to all of you, I don't know if it went through, with the link that Mahmoud sent, and I summarized the information there, and then another link with more information about appeals. So I think that's something we could include in the email. And then also, there's in there, no appeal will be accepted if a faculty member has already submitted a final grade, if classes have ended, or if more than 2 weeks have passed since the deadline. And I think that's something concrete we could fight against and say, there are students that need this to be changed, that there are faculty members that will not play with these rules, and we would like to override that and say appeals should be open.
I was just going to say that needs to be brought up in the conversation with student activists.
Yeah.
Like, we can't make that call until we.
Wait, which call? Including that?
Sorry?
Which call? Including
What you
this
just said about like trying to change. We can't say students want this changed until we hear from students that they want to change.
But we could.
We can include the information.
Oh,
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, yeah.
That's,
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. But until if we're going to come up with a concrete resolution, like we want this changed in this way, we need to run that past student activists.
I just worry about time, like getting this.
We'll be able to. We don't have to do that in the context of this email, but we can do it in the context of the presentation.
Whatever ideas like people want run by, like it will happen.
Sorry,
Okay. So first things first. I think to respond to the sort of like political capital argument. Although I think we've sort of moved past that, in that like we have complete power when we're sending out this email to qualify our endorsement of any petition. So, you know, we could say like we do fully endorse the petition, and we emphasize that a solution needs to be found whereby students are not failing their classes and are not experiencing penalties as a result of that. And then secondly, like we're debating like an email that we send. So like, if people aren't comfortable with it, like I don't want to be like combative or anything, but like we like can vote on it, and like if people don't like it, like
9 out of 15,
if there aren't
right?
enough.
It's also being revised right now.
Yeah. So like,
what's the number?
8.
8 out of 15.
I think like including those links about incompletes and appeals, plus what's already in the email, perhaps an endorsement of the petition with the qualification that we especially support the larger goals of not having students fail and not having students experience penalties as a result. I think we should vote on that as soon as possible so we can get that done and begin talking about general faculty.
Oh, awesome.
Well,
Send it.
Do you want to propose it?
Does anyone else have any?
Do you want to include links?
Let me put a link in there.
I just want to, I mean, if no one has anything, there's something I wish I had said at some point last year, but I didn't. And so I think it's kind of relevant now, so I just want to say it. I think it's important to think about why we're doing what we're doing at all times. What is the motivation behind it? What does it mean for people? How does it affect people? And what does it mean for like our role as senators? And I think just like generally knowing all you guys, like I know you're all good people and you care a lot about this stuff so much. And I just feel kind of a rift starting. And it's been there for a while, but I think it's something that we imagine in our heads because we like in our minds sometimes to conceptualize things as like us versus them, right? And if we're not on a certain side, then you have to be against us. And I just want to speak to like knowing most of you guys like very well personally, like I don't think it's that way on this. You know, like we agree that I think we all agree that we need to support students like wholeheartedly and making sure people don't fail and get kicked out of school. I think we agree on that, and I hope like we can look each other in the eye and like not on that. But at the same time, like because of that, like let's be open to talking about the ways in which you do so. And I mean, yes, we can vote on things and we can force things through, but like what does that mean about us as like people and like thinking about one another and like how we work together as a group, you know? So I just wanted to throw that out there to think about, and there's no one else to speak, so I wanted to talk a little.
So that's the end of stack.
Yeah. I mean, again, I would love to say like I don't want to force anybody to like. I don't want to send out an email that says Senate supports this petition without like. I want to give every senator the opportunity to say whether they support it or not. We're not passing. You know, this isn't a resolution. I don't think anyone's trying to like force anything through. I personally appreciate that. I know everybody, I think, like does have students' best interests at heart. Like, if that's not true, then like that would be awful. But I think that we all do. I think it's just coming from different spaces, and whether or not we're able to recognize what the spaces that we're in. So yeah. How's the email?
Last sentence.
Okay. Yeah, and like for general faculty, I think we can do something very similar. Like I keep going back to that. Like we all agree that we need to present to the faculty that here are all of these ways that you guys should be lenient. Like we encourage all of you to like please work with your students as much as you possibly can, especially students of color who have been affected and continue to be affected and will continue to be affected by these types of events and oppression and microaggressions and macroaggressions. And like here are the students that support the petition. Here are students, like, you don't have to say I don't support the petition, but I don't want anybody to feel like they like everyone should have the autonomy to say they support what they support. So I sort of treat the email and GFAC the same way in that manner personally.
I actually do have a committee report to make. If I should do that while Megan's typing her thing.
Library committee.
Library committee.
Oh, I heard about that.
Yeah.
Okay, Megan did just finish.
Oh, did you finish?
Yeah, go for it either way.
I mean, it doesn't. Well, I guess this is before decisions. So, yeah. So at library committee this week, Dean Elgren came in, who's the dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, and there was like a pretty serious rift between Dean Elgren and the members of the library committee who feel really disconnected from the strategic planning process. And I think this is like an excellent microcosm to like kind of explain a macrocosm that I think the faculty are starting to feel very cut out of the decision-making processes at Oberlin. in similar ways and for similar reasons the way students feel. So that's pretty much my whole report. I'm going to reach out to Ann Sheriff, the chair of the library committee, about talking with her about how we can make steering committee more responsive to both faculty and student needs. But I think there's a lot of space for working together with the faculty on steering committee issues, and it became particularly obvious to me at this meeting of the library committee. So,
Oh yeah. Okay. Go for it.
No, sorry.
All right. Well, I guess. Oh, actually, let's do your thing first. I was just gonna say shout out to the neuroscience department, because at our EPPC meeting they gave us like this really great detailed breakdown about diversity and their like among their majors and their graduates and their faculty, and it was just like there's just a really well written report. So shout out to you guys for actually caring.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
All right, now I remembered what I was saying. I'm sorry. Anxiety's a bitch, you guys. Anyways, so committee reports. I went to the Housing and Dining Committee meeting this week as well. I forgot to say that at the beginning, I'm sorry. And presented information about the temporary workers getting access to meals. And they said that they're already pursuing ways to do that, I think with the MSDs on board. And figuring out the logistics around that. They wanted to present, and they said that they were kind of confusing as to whether when Zach and Slack met with them about the petition. They were kind of confusing. They were kind of confusing about if they gave the impression that this is a policy that they're very welcome to working with. At this point, it sounds like they definitely are working with the policy, and they're working to revert back to the pre-2010 or so policy that allowed temporary workers to get a meal at the end of their shift. They also presented information about the minimum amount of hours that they'll hire a temporary worker for, which is 4 hours, and a variety of other statistics about that, or a variety of other information about that. They seem like they're on board, so that's good. Yeah.
That's great. So do we want to vote on the email?
Well, wait till Megan gets back.
Yeah. I guess I just sort of want to, like, are we adding on the end, because I just looked at the one Megan sent, are we adding at the end, like, are we going to do, like, Student Senate supports this fully, or are we going to do these Student Senators support it fully?
I think we should do these student senators support the petition, but then I think we should also make a statement at the end that says as a body we support like working together to find a creative solution wherein students don't fail. And I think we can be very deliberate about saying that without like stating that as being the goal of the petition, but not stating that we support the petition itself as a whole body. But having that part where like these following senators support this. I don't know how that would look exactly.
So, yeah.
Hold on, I think we should suspend this conversation until Megan gets back.
Okay.
If that's okay. Like, I don't want to talk about her email when she's not here.
Okay, she sent it.
So, yeah, and I guess we can all take the time to just read it really quick.
It's forwarded from you, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Most of it's the same, right?
Well, 1%.
And it does say at the end, we fully endorse the petition. Suspend this, yeah.
Well, why don't we just say we, the following senators, fully support the petition, and then.
Yeah.
Yo, while Megan's gone, I would love to talk about Con Council for a hot sec.
Go for it.
What?
Go for it.
Yeah, so Albert and myself and some SFC members met with Jeanette Chen and, I can't remember the other girl's name, who are on the executive council of the Conservatory Council. They're trying to establish themselves as a more official governmental type body for student representatives.
Rebecca.
Thank you, Rebecca. They also are trying to figure out how they could get paid for that work. We talked about trying to incorporate them into our sort of general constitution to some degree. Honestly, like, we have a lot more questions than answers right now, particularly on like a money type direction. Like, where's the money going to come from, since it's not open to all students? Like, who would get to vote to reaffirm their pay? Also, like, what is the best form for conservatory students to be represented? So yeah, we talked about like maybe trying to amend the Constitution minimally so that it didn't have to go through the like crazy process that you have to go through to actually change the Constitution. But like, what is minimally? What is not minimally? We know that it was amended in 2006 minimally, but I don't actually know what that means. So I think we have a lot of questions for Dean Estes, and to try and figure out the future of Conservatory Council and its relationship with Student Senate and like the SFC. So yeah. Albert, do you have anything to add?
I think that just about sums it up. We did spend a deal of time discussing what might be the most appropriate way to go about doing this. We investigated some of the history behind stipends and wages in general, and that was the number 18 years ago. All student government basically shut down for a year, and then the Student Senate was reinstated and was granted wages for its work, whereas it previously had not been. But the CCS basically disappeared from existence temporarily, or for extended time. But so first off, considering where the background of our Student Senate's pay, and then how that would apply to the CCS, and what would be the best vehicle for bringing about stipends or wages to their organization.
Yeah, we also just like kind of learned about what they've been doing. Like, they've got the MRC to come to the con.
We haven't done that.
They held like a musical piece type thing.
It was
relating.
It was a open kind of recital concert in the lounge for various students and performers to express their personal sentiments or feelings about the recent actions.
Yeah, and we also just appointed Jeanette Chen, one of them, to the committee on policy last week. Educational policy. So yeah. All right, should we?
Yeah, let's go back to
go back to the email?
Yeah, I'm adding a little bit.
Just to reflect the whole like undersigned thing, and then the like we as a body support solutions brought forward by students.
Yeah, so saying like we the undersigned senators support the petition, and here's the petition, but we as a body support like continuing the conversation. So like we as a body, like what I'm typing is additionally, Student Senate as a body fully supports any and all solutions brought forward by students, particularly the students of color, that would provide for students not failing, basically. Like, we support those initiatives.
Great.
Does anyone, yeah?
Especially students.
I guess it's kind of semantic, but in line with this this topic. In the email, the second paragraph from the bottom, it says, as Oberlin College's Student Senate, we concurrently recognize and value the increased flexibility for incompletes, and several members fully endorse.
We changed that. I made as Oberlin College Student Senate, we concurrently recognize and value the increased flexibility for incompletes, and then I made
the following undersigned.
We the undersigns.
Wait, where is this?
Second to last paragraph.
No, I'm saying it's on your.
It's a new thing that's about to be sent to you.
Okay. And then the other one was the previous paragraph 13 third from the bottom. Not all professors and staff. Should we do that? Because it's been,
Where does that say?
as we have seen over the past few days, not all professors are as supportive of students in color on campus.
And staff, you say?
Staff and
Yeah,
administrators.
because many of the conversations
Should I add administrators too?
Administrators, for sure.
and administrators,
Not staff.
professors, faculty, staff, administrators, however much we need to get to.
What is Deborah? Is she staff or administrator?
She's
Which
staff.
Deborah we're talking about?
Deborah Thomas.
She's staff in the financial aid.
Bye, Deborah.
I would love to call you not by name, but we can't. So that would just create a shit storm that we don't need.
I have a question to pose to everyone. What does it mean in terms of effectiveness at general faculty as some of us, if we say like only the undersigned support the petition, and then we go up
Public
there?
accountability.
No. I'm saying in terms of convincing faculty at general faculty.
I think we'll have the
if
same
we're
effect
invited?
if all of us signed it or if one of us signed it. Like
I don't think. Is that your question?
I think again, I think this idea that we're all behind, like the general idea, as far as I can tell, we're all behind the general idea of trying to figure out a way that students can be helped and not fail, the students that have been affected by this. Like we can all stand up at GFAC and say like, professors, like please work with your students as much as you possibly can to like make this as good as it can possibly be. Everyone can do that. And then whatever senators want to say, like this is the way that it should be done, then they can stand up and say that. That's how I feel. That's how I feel about it.
Okay, well, I'm just thinking about like logistically, like how is this gonna happen? So like, I think most effectively it would be best if Megan, I think you can speak most personally to this, and so if you deliver the statement, but is it gonna be like, we support this petition, or like several senators support the petition?
It depends what people say right? Didn't we already talk about this?
I would almost argue that we don't even need to come out in support or not in support. I think we can just say there has been a petition that is trying to work towards these goals, and we support these goals.
We definitely support that.
I see the distinction that you guys are making.
Yeah.
I still think it sucks that we have to make that distinction.
No, yeah.
Yeah,
Ideally, we would all just agree.
As opposed to like hinder this movement in whatever way possible.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm not sorry.
I'm also still very uncomfortable like putting forward any concrete solutions without speaking with students yet. Like they're not live streaming this recording. They can't respond to us via Twitter. Wouldn't that be sick though?
That would be so cool.
Let's work on that.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Okay.
But I think we can send this email now. Like I'm about to send out a final correction. It's really only the last part, so don't read the whole front part again.
How are we gonna establish who's like the undersigned senators?
We're just gonna raise our hands.
Sounds good.
Raise your hand if you want to be.
We're doing this right now?
Wait. We need two separate. Sorry.
Do you want to do this?
Process.
Oh, sorry.
Process suggestion.
Yeah.
I think we should. I think that's the right way to do it. I think we should do two votes. One would be in support of the email. The other would be who would like to be signed on.
Well, that's not a vote. That's just raise your hand if you want to be signed on.
Yeah. Okay.
We don't have to.
Yeah,
We need to make that.
We're gonna do that.
It doesn't need to be a formal.
We're gonna do that.
Sorry.
Well, I mean, essentially is a vote.
Yeah, but you don't have to like. I propose. Just like who wants to be on there.
Yeah.
Raise your hand. Like,
Okay.
now we can do that now. Is that cool?
So we're saying two different things. Number one, send the email. And number two, be listed on the petition.
Yeah.
Defense looks concerned.
Well, those are kind of.
No, I just had a question. I think part of this is, and I understand why you're doing it differently for the two different parts of this. I guess some of this comes down to what are you going to ask general faculty for? If you're going to ask them to support the petition, at least one of them will ask, why should I support something that Senate has not supported? And unless you're going to ask them to exercise their own conscience and feelings in relationship to the petition, right? That would be sort of parallel to what you're asking senators to do, right? Mm-hmm. And then there's the appeal on the underlying premise, right? And so I just suggest that you think a little bit about what you're going to ask from them in terms of what you're saying to them as you do it, I guess is what I'm saying.
Like,
So I think, just to respond to that, I think we're going to have our work cut out for us in the next few days. I think that this email is just something that we should really decide as to whether or not we need to send it to the students. And then figure out the undersigning shit. But then please do approach me after this and let me know if you want to be involved in the writing process. We will work together to figure out how we're going to approach them, right? In a way that is reflective of what the students want as well. So once I establish that meeting, once we all come and let me know if you want to be involved, we'll make a meeting and we'll get this shit done before Wednesday, okay?
Yeah, I think the email and GFAC are different things. As much as they are the same, we have a lot to do for general faculty that we can't figure out right now. This email, we can figure out.
Yeah, so let's just do this vote.
Corey Gibson.
I guess, why can't we just send this off another email and we don't have the full 15 people here, but what is generally required is 81% of the student senate has to approve, so why don't we just...
Wait, what?
He's saying that we can lower the threshold.
I'm saying normally when we send off an email, we say, do we all approve?
No, you need 8. You need
You need 8.
Okay, then why don't we just, it says, as Oberlin College Student Senate, we concurrently recognize and value the increased flexibilities and completeness and fully endorse, etc. That isn't, if the majority of students on Senate approve, what does it matter if we have undersigned? Because we can approve as a body even if individuals don't.
True.
It's my
Because I
opinion.
want to shout y'all out.
Because
Because it's not.
I'm going to shout you out otherwise. Just sign.
I think that's really valid. And let me just make it, I might as well say I'm gonna vote against putting my name on there. But I just want to think about what Dina said, what does it mean in terms of general fact? If we say we support this petition, but only half of us support this petition, maybe it's worth it saying Senate as a whole instead of individual names, if that makes sense.
Which is what we already say in the email.
Yeah, so we're saying, so what you're saying is let's just vote on this thing and then we don't need to put the individual names.
Which
Right.
is
Vote on
accurate.
sending out the email just as it is.
And then if it passes, it
If
passes.
it passes, you just put Senate and not names.
Yeah.
Fine.
I think that this method is actually a better way to do it. Partly
I'm sorry.
The voting
this method, voting
On the other side.
on the email, which does give the impression that, if the email passes, it gives the impression that Senate as a body does support the petition, right? It does do that to a certain degree. And the alternative, or one of the major alternative options would be to do a resolution. I don't think we should do that, number one, because we don't have the time. Number two, I don't have the time. It's easy to write a resolution.
I just sent that.
But, sorry.
Fabulous.
But this way, sending out an email like this throws support as a student body, saying a majority of, or however many members of the Student Senate have chosen to sign.
Great.
It shows that it shows that these members of the Senate support the petition. It shows that we support further action to support students of color and Black students on campus who have been most impacted and are healing and organized.
You should read my new email. Sorry.
Okay, sorry.
But it does actually say something about that.
Yeah.
Okay. I think this is a better option than, say, a resolution, which...
Right.
Was
I guess
anyone
I'm
ever
confused.
intending to
I'm confused about, are you saying we should do undersigned, or are you saying we should not do undersigned?
we should definitely do undersigned. I think.
You want to do
Well, I think
want
we
to do
should vote.
undersigned.
That's what I think we
Okay.
should do.
Yeah.
We're deciding what we're voting on. So is the most recent email what you guys want to do?
Yes.
I just sent it out.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Gotcha.
Wait, but are we voting with
Does
or
that
without
one have
signatures?
undersigned or not?
It does have
undersigned.
Okay. So
literally, it's only the last fifth. Everything's starting with as Oberlin College Student Center, we can currently recognize and value the increased flex. That's the only thing that's changed since the previous email. So.
Great.
And then it says, we, the undersigned senators, fully endorse the petition to suspend the standard grading system and offer an academic floor of C for classes this semester. In profound support of the Black students and students of color, Oberlin has claimed to cherish and support for close to 200 years. Signatures. Under that. We have attached the petition to this email. Please take the time to consider the points brought forth in this letter, as well as the students around you who are demanding this support moving forward into finals period. Linked petition. Under that. Additionally, Student Senate as a body fully supports any and all solutions brought forward by students, especially students of color, that would help them not be unfairly penalized with failing grades this semester, and that would provide a clear and helpful appeals process for the failing grades they may receive. Best of luck on exams. Great. XO, I got this girl. Great.
So I think, let's vote on
Let's do
this.
this thing.
Let's vote on the email.
Wait, are we, okay.
Well, first we should decide who is undersigned.
No, vote on
No.
the email,
Vote on the
then
Vote on the email and then.
How does everyone feel about this?
No,
If you
you're
vote in approval, that means your name will be listed on the email. If you vote against it, or you
No.
No, because people might want to send us emails.
No.
Sorry, what? What do you mean?
No,
by
it
approve?
doesn't.
I thought that's what we just said.
No, because,
So-
because there might be somebody who supports the
I
email being
support
sent out, but still does not want to sign to it.
Yes.
Okay.
Like,
So where we are.
So let's
Great,
approve
super.
the email first and then figure out the signature.
Yes.
Great.
Great. Ready? I propose that we approve this. And how does it work?
Yeah, no, that was
I
better.
approve that I propose that we approve this email. All in favor?
Aye.
All abstaining, or all not in
Opposed.
favor? All opposed?
That's not
All
an option.
abstaining? Should I recuse myself?
No.
Okay, great. So we send
We
it.
send this.
Okay, great. We send it.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Well, I mean,
Well, you gotta get the names.
no.
Yeah, undersigned.
Right now, the undersigned, right?
Who wants
So-
to be undersigned? So why don't you speak your names?
okay. We'll start here and go around.
Alright, Nolan,
Nolan Sharper, Scharber.
you got it.
Okay. Megan Bautista. Right? Is that cool?
No. I'm like really uncomfortable.
B-A-U-T-I-S-T.
You know how to-
I was just checking. I don't want to get it wrong. I know it's still Nolan's
Also,
name.
it would be cool if we did it alphabetically, because then I'll be on top anyway.
I'm gonna put you on top.
Is that like? Oh no, I was
I'm sorry.
Nick Canavan. Who else?
Anjali Kalachalans.
On A-N-J-A-L-I.
Yep.
A-O.
Kalachalans.
I would have.
I mean, it's phonetic.
Who else?
Jordan Ecker.
Jordan E-C-K-E-R.
ECKR. Cornerstone in Old German.
Oh,
Ben Libby.
Ben Libby.
And Libby. E-Y? Yeah.
E-Y, L-I-B-B-E-Y.
Taiwan.
Yeah?
Just a point, I'm just wondering, do you think we should check in with the student senators who are not here about this? Because if we are doing undersigned.
Zach is currently ill. He emailed me.
Let's give Zach Gill a call. Does anyone have his number?
He might
Let me
be
check my
crashing
laptop.
because I emails everyone.
He's
who wasn't
always
here
on
at the start.
Facebook. That kid's always on Facebook.
We could say is the following students were absent from the meeting.
No.
Well, no,
I would rather give him a chance.
wait, so are you calling Gil or are you calling Crowell?
I'm not calling
Let's
anyone. I'm seeing.
let's finish this process.
Okay,
first.
sorry.
So I have Megan, I have Nolan, I have me, I have Anjali, I have Jordan, I have Ben, I have Ty. Is there anyone else?
Justin.
Justin, B-O-N-G-I.
Yeah. I think we can also hold off on sending the email potentially. It's already been approved till the end of the night, so we have an opportunity to get in contact with
Yeah.
Zach Gill, Zach
Yes.
Crowell.
Yes.
Is there any other senators missing?
We should send it off.
I'm gonna send it to all of us.
Is there any more?
We should try to send it.
Yeah, let's just try and catch Crowell and Gill before the end of the night, and if we can't, we
All right.
I missed.
So Megan, Nolan, Nick, Anjali, Jordan, Ben, Ty, Justin. Anyone else? Okay. Cool. Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Capitalized Senate is the foregoing paragraph.
I love you, Albert. I love you so much.
Guess who's on Facebook? Zach Gill.
Guess who's on Facebook? Wow.
All right, cool.
He has a serious social media presence.
I have a proposal to extend plenary by 30 minutes.
By at most 30 minutes.
I mean, actually.
Let's
right
phrase
now-
it.
Yeah, no, I'm. People can leave.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are
That's all.
who's staying?
Yeah, wait for what?
And what are we talking
Wait,
about?
what would we, yeah.
Oh, we need to talk about targeted advertising for the empty seats that are going to be on Senate.
And
Can
just
we do
advertise
that?
Can interim do
Can
that?
interim deal with that?
When is interim going to meet?
Interim.
Email.
But it would be so much better to get started on everything.
It would
like,
be.
We need to have, like, I'm thinking we need to have a forum because there's
Yes.
very little trust within the student body of us, and we need to figure out why that is, and it might have something to do with the fact that we're all white people.
Not all of
No
us.
offense to people who aren't white.
Thanks.
I've always wanted to. Sorry.
But like, yeah, like, no wonder, like,
Must be hard.
I don't know, I'm gonna stop talking now, but I think we need to have a forum, and I think we need to be targeted about where we advertise, like, hey, there are X amount of seats. We need to fill these with, if you wanna fill these seats, fill these seats.
we should replace that piece of paper on our board downstairs that says, run for Senate. And applications due by September or something.
Pretty sure I wrote that down.
Yeah.
No, it's still up there.
I wrote something down.
Yeah, in a fit of rage.
Where do they want to get back to the Zacks?
Oh, the Zacks.
I just Facebook messaged Gil.
Same.
So in terms of targeting stuff, maybe like over January we can take like responsibility for a certain part of campus and like make sure we communicate really strongly.
Also, we never.
How many of y'all
We
are?
never approved extending.
I'm here for winter term.
Oh yeah,
Close
30
to that.
minutes.
I can like.
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
Well, I'm
I know that's
planning
great
to.
too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is anyone staying?
Yeah.
For one,
I know.
I'm gonna be on campus for winter term.
Oh yeah, how many of y'all are on campus for
I will.
I'm gonna send out the one with the signatures to all of us.
Bad.
Okay, I'm gonna do that.
That was great. Had fun.
Chance that the others.
Just tell everybody you're white now.
I've got some pretty strong recruits.
Just want to know why. It's important to think before you do things, right?
I don't know. Are you just?
Justin.
Wait, are we?
So